Welcome to KPK Gemstones Club on YouTube. RGM Watches. RGM was founded in 1992 by American watchmaker Roland G. Murphy in Pennsylvania. The company is the only vertically integrated manufacturer in the United States that designs and produces unique movements, dials, hands, etc. in-house. The brand's limited production of high-end luxury watches are competitive with Swiss and European counterparts, and feature complex guilloche dials, hand-finished movements and advanced complications. Roland's watchmaking days started in the early 1980s when he worked in the cabinet-making section of a clock company before traveling to Switzerland in 1986 to study with the Watchmakers of Switzerland Training and Educational Program WOSTEP. After working in product development for the Hamilton Watch Company, he started his own brand. RGM initially relied on outsourced Swiss movements, but the Caliber 801 debuted in 2008 as the first in-house development with several additional calibers to follow. Modern technology blends with old-world techniques as antique, hand-operated machinery has been employed to preserve traditional craftsmanship in the company's atelier. The Caliber 801 was inspired by America's watchmaking history, a subject of great interest to Roland. For example, the movement's bridges are reminiscent of the Keystone Howard Watch Company's Edward Howard model, a flagship at the time, and the winding click is inspired by the Illinois Watch Company's Illini model. And deep polished winding wheels have a similar finish to those of the Illinois Bun Special. This hand-wound caliber has 19 joules, beats at 18,000 VPH, 2.5 Hz, and is hand-finished with Côte de Genève and Perlage and Gillick on some models. Wolf's tooth winding wheels are also an option. Rolex Explorer. The Rolex Explorer is a wristwatch that was specifically designed for participants of expeditions and mountaineers. The watch serves them well under the most extreme conditions and circumstances. The model was launched in 1953, shortly after the first ascent of Mount Everest by Sir Edmund Hillary. The famous team of mountaineers received specially manufactured Rolex Oyster perpetual chronometers, which the explorers could depend on in the thunderstorms and blizzards of highest altitudes in the Himalayas. These watches were prototypes and did not yet bear the Explorer inscription that embellished the models with the references 6298 and 6350. The official Explorer watches were presented to the general public in 1953. Being the Rolex model for mountain climbers and adventurers, the Explorer displays a unique robustness and is evidently functional. The easy readability of the dial, the high comfort wearability, and the unrivaled resistance of the Explorer justify the successful history of the watch with next to no alterations. The Explorer has been a lasting part of the Rolex Oyster collection for over 60 years. Needless to say, the Explorer impresses with its robustness and functionality, as well as its sporty elegant design. The distinctive Mercedes hour hand that can also be found on the famous Rolex Submariner is characteristic for this men's watch. Another distinctive feature is the use of Roman numerals at 3, 6 and 9 o'clock, which assists for easy legibility. The Explorer was designed to withstand any situation and environment. The twin-lock winding crown guarantees a waterproof timepiece to 100 meters thanks to 2 sealed zones. Inside the case, The Paraflex shock absorber ensures the movement's resistance to any form of shock. The movement of the Explorer Ref. 214270 is a caliber 3132 by Rolex with a self-winding and solid perpetual mechanism. Glashütte Original Watches. The roots of Glashütte Original reach back to 1845, the year in which the first master watchmakers settled in Glashütte. They realized their dream of an independent Saxon watchmaking industry. As a direct descendant of their art, today Glashütte Original carries their vision forth into the 21st century. In the middle of the 19th century, in a little valley in the Ore Mountains only 30 kilometers from Dresden, the capital of Saxony, a unique success story began to unfold. Searching for new economic prospects for the region, whose name derives from ancient ore deposits, the government decided to undertake an ambitious enterprise, the deliberate founding of a watchmaking industry in the former mining town of Glashütte. In the decades to follow, the watchmakers' trust in their own strength, together with their determination never to give up in the face of difficulties, were to prove decisive. The course of history struck the little town with full force, leading finally in 1951 to the merging of the surviving Glashütte watchmakers into a state-owned company, Volkswagener Betrieb, VEB. Since 1994 the Glashütte Original brand has taken up this tradition in a seamless manner, assuming the heritage of the Glashütte watch companies from whose DNA it emerged following German reunification. Alongside the Swatch Group, of which Glashütte Original has been a member since the year 2000, the manufacturer's watchmaking vision knows no bounds. Rado Integral. Rado Integral watches are a popular series of men's and ladies' Rado watches, diverse both in their designs and mechanisms, while maintaining the signature rectangular dial. This series of Rado watches feature automatic, chronograph, quartz, and digital chronograph movements. This series is crafted from ceramic, a durable and scratch-resistant material which is lightweight and comfortable. The Rado Integral is also available in a multitude of finishes including platinum and gold tones, and features the renowned series in select models. Certain models are available with varying quantities of diamonds for the degree of formality and luxury to suit any taste. The Rado Integral series is a versatile watch series which marries form and function, making an exquisite and ornate addition to any wrist. Rado, a Swiss watch manufacturing company, is a pioneer in the watchmaking industry. The company has launched several successful watch collections, of which Integral is one of the most loved ones. The Rado Integral, introduced in 1986, was the first collection to feature an innovative bracelet, made of high-grade ceramic, which makes the watch extremely tough and also scratch-proof. Rado is a 102-year-old Swiss luxury watchmaking company. Rado has introduced the world to some of the most innovative watch collections, and Rado Integral is one of them. Rado Integral was a revolution in the watch manufacturing industry of the 20th century. It was the first watch collection to introduce a high-tech ceramic stainless steel bracelet to the world in 1986. Since then, the watch collection has been redesigned several times to suit contemporary needs. Still, the new models remain aligned to their original look and feel. These Rado watches for men are truly royal timepieces that continue to attract new watch enthusiasts. Hamilton watches. Hamilton, like most American watch manufacturers, started out as a group of watchmakers with the idea of creating their own watch company. A small company branded as the Lancaster Watch Company sprung up outside of the rural village of Lancaster, Pa. Due to poor financial decisions and a mismanaged senior leadership, the company merged with the Keystone Watch Company, which was also not doing too well itself. Rebranding with a new name in 1893 when they settled outside of Lancaster. They named the company in honor of the owner of the land they had been granted permission to build their factory on, James Hamilton. This time around the watchmakers got it right and created an American powerhouse in horology that would be the last holdout in the 1960s. They have too many notable models to list, but owning a Hamilton at the turn of the century was the equivalent of owning the finest quality watch today. Unfortunately, like all the rest, they met their demise due to poor marketing and not being able to keep up with a modern market streaming out of the East. Luckily, they were purchased by the Swatch Group in 1984 and kept alive, although they stopped making watches in America. The last of the Amican companies, Hamilton is still a familiar name that you can still purchase today in the mid-grade watches of Swatch Group. Ball watch. Ball watch co's story is closely tied to that of the American railroads, as it all started from a very real need of precisely timing train movements. In the early days of railroad transportation, trains would move chaotically and oftentimes end up calling with each other at crossings due to the fact that there was no accurate system in place to track their movements in time. Everything relied on the inaccurate readings of train workers' watches. That's when jeweler and watchmaker Webster Clay Ball was tasked with creating a system to ensure a standardized and precise system for timing trains moving around the country, and that led to the birth of Ball Watch Company in 1891. Today, they still craft incredibly accurate timepieces that are used in extreme conditions and in domains where lives are at stake, such as search and rescue operations. The Ball watch brand is famous for its stylish watches and amazing story. A tragic event in 1891 near Kipton, Ohio, facilitated the Swiss watchmaking company's growth and success. Two trains had a head-on collision, and the company's founder, Mr. Webster Clay Ball, was chosen to investigate timekeeping issues on the American Railroad. He was a chief time inspector, watchmaker and jeweler. Therefore, he used his expertise to create high-precision watches that would aid in keeping accurate time. They could withstand extreme conditions. Plus, they were improved with time to meet the official railroad's demanding. They boasted innovative technologies like cold temperature measurement, high shock resistance, and water resistance up to 600 feet. The pieces also underwent thorough chronometer certification, which involves 7 tests. Rado Diastar, hailed as the world's first scratch-proof watch. The Diastar 1, launched in 1962, was Rado's response to customer demands for comfort, robustness and exclusive style. A prime example of Rado's innovative approach to design and materials, this timepiece brought hard metal and sapphire crystal into the watchmaking industry at a time when this was far from the norm. Today referred to as the original, the oval Diastar 1 gave birth to bold marketing statements, such as, the most important improvement of watch cases in 400 years. The broad, unusually shaped bezel, which covers the fastening of the strap, was entirely new. The round, silver-colored dial featured a red date on a white background and applied double indexes at 6, 9 and 12. Notably, it was not only touted as scratch-proof, but also super waterproof, an apt term for a 1960s watch which could withstand 22 ATM. Carrying 4 patents, it gave consumers 3 guarantees: technical, waterproof and scratch-proof. But despite all these reassurances, the unusual design was initially met with skepticism. Despite an attractive price tag, it needed a few years to become popular. The gold-colored Diastar 13, which joined the ultra-scratch-resistant family in 1972, is still amongst the best sellers today. The success is thanks to its brilliant gold-colored case which, unlike gold-plated watches, is scratch-proof and loses none of its brilliance or color. Fossil Watches. Fossil Watch Company has gone through a multitude of changes and has evolved significantly since it was first founded in 1984 by Tom Kartsotis, based in Richardson, Texas. In just 3 decades the brand has expanded remarkably but first began creating its own Fossil brand watches. During 1989 Fossil was making a name for itself within the designer watch industry. It launched the famous tin box packaging inspired by 1950s American graphics. In 1990 Fossil attended its first Basel Fair trade show event in Switzerland before venturing into women's leather goods manufacture in 1992. 3 years later its first outlet store was opening. By this time the brand had already extended into men's leather accessories and sunglasses. Once Fossil began pitching its products online within its e-commerce store, Fossil.com, demand grew higher. Fossil opened up stores in Dallas and Chicago. The year 1997 was a significant year for Fossil Group since it took over Emporio Armani and began distributing watches worldwide. Just a year later, the brand had launched its first part analog part digital watch with the release of the Big Tick watch. It would become a patented technology that Fossil still utilizes today. Towards the end of the 90s the Fossil Group had also signed a worldwide licensing agreement to produce and distribute watches for Diesel and DKNY watches. In addition to opening stores in Germany, the Netherlands and Singapore by the year 2000, Fossil had also created a clothing line and produced a signature line of watches. It also developed a proprietary color-changing technology called Kaleido which it began using on dials. Licensing agreements were also signed for Zodiac watches and Burberry. 2004 marked the year that Fossil began branching out even further, creating partnerships with Michael Kors, Adidas and Marc Jacobs. In 2009 Fossil celebrated its 25th anniversary by revisiting some iconic watches of its past, followed by acquiring Skagen watches just 3 years later. Bulova Accutron Astronaut 2 SW8A002 Limited Edition is a special edition watch, commemorating the landmark Accutron watch line and the brand's historically successful models. The exceptional Bulova Accutron Astronaut 2 SW8A002 model catches the eye with its unmistakable, distinctive and easy-to-read design and its two-tone day-night lunette, divided into 2 segments of 12 hours each. The Bulova 2 SW8A002 from the Accutron Astronaut Collection is a reissue of the 1968 astronaut model in the T version with a distinctive day-night lunette. The Bulova brand was popular with the celebrities and trendsetters of the time. The exceptional Bulova Accutron Astronaut 2 SW8A002 is a limited edition of only 300 pieces, only a fraction of which will be available in the Czech Republic. Bulova Accutron tuning watches were renowned in their time for their reliability and precision. The construction of the tuning mechanism provided resistance to overload and also better withstood high temperatures. Thanks to these features, Bulova also supplied instruments for spaceflight cockpits used in the Gemini and Apollo programs, for example, and various military projects. The brand also proved its worth in the A-12 and X-15 programs. It was here, in the cockpits of the Lockheed A-12 and the experimental X-15 rocket plane developed for NASA, that Bulova astronaut models were used by pilots. The case of the Bulova Accutron Astronaut 2 SW8A002 is made of stainless steel, complemented by an atypical, but thanks to the smaller parts very comfortable, steel bracelet. The watch is powered by a Swiss mechanical movement Soletta SW330 GMT with automatic winding, GMT function possibility of displaying a second time zone. Of course, there is hacking and the possibility of winding the crown. The movement with a running frequency of 28,800 semi-frequencies per hour can be observed thanks to the semi-transparent caseback. The clear black dial, made in the style of the original model, is fitted with embossed indices at the hour positions and luminescent triangular dots at the half-hour positions. There is also luminescence on all hands for better legibility in low-light conditions. The dial is protected by an arched sapphire crystal with an anti-reflective coating, ensuring excellent legibility even in direct light. The water resistance of the model is 100 meters, so you can swim with the watch. The Tino model meets the conditions of the Swiss-made label. Vacheron Constantine. Vacheron Constantine watches are an embodiment of supreme craftsmanship and a shared passion that permeates throughout the company's entire manufacturing facilities in the Valley de Joux, Switzerland. Surrounded by secrecy and confidentiality, even the development of the smallest parts of a Vacheron Constantine watch are closely guarded by the hands of those who craft them. Vacheron Constantine's philosophy to exquisite watchmaking is to do better if possible, and that is always possible. They were words uttered by François Constantine in 1819 but still speak volumes for the company's ethos and their unique approach to fine watchmaking today. A Vacheron Constantine watch will sit up there with the world's top watchmaking brands, yet still remain within reach of those who can appreciate that a watch takes time to save for. Values in aesthetics and comfort run synonymously alongside precision and quality performance. Stamped with the Geneva seal, beautifully crafted mechanical movements are put on show through an exhibition caseback featuring a sapphire crystal glass lens. Simple in design, Vacheron Constantine Patrimony watches feature three-handed dial designs, many of which feature date windows at 6 o'clock and have been crafted from 18-karat rose gold, yellow gold or white gold to match the finish of the case. Other two-handed dial designs go without the addition of the date window but still feature the iconic company lettering and the famous Maltese cross logo at 12 o'clock. These stylish timepieces make for the perfect finishing touches to smart office attire or an elegant evening ensemble.